ready to get tracking.
Hey everybody, Tracking Pat here, and I'm going to give you an overview on the KMX control. And I just wanted you guys to understand a little bit of the background of the KMX control, right? So this product was designed a few years ago, and it was designed to be an upgrade product for the older controls that were made in roughly the 1990s. Those old controls had CRT screens and floppy drives and 286 processors and all that old stuff that we were running out of and couldn't get those components anymore to keep them serviced. So because of that, we created a new control that not only replaces that product, but it also gives you a lot more benefits that the older products didn't have. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly how it works in a progression of videos, but the first one here is just going to show you an overall synopsis of what it does and how it. So with the KMX control, we're at the main screen when you first turn it on, and so the first things you're going to notice, of course, is that it's an LCD screen now, and it's going to be longer than it was in the old ones, right? And it's not a CRT anymore because that's one of the upgrades. Also, along with the upgrades, you have USB ports now for getting your parts in and out or using a mouse, things like that. You'll notice here at the main screen also that you've got your accessories button here and your fine coarse if you have electronic hand wheels for changing the resolutions. So this product being able to be used as an upgrade, it might be that the control you're upgrading has accessories, and in that case they will work on this control. If not, that button wouldn't be needed. What you'll also notice up here is that all the buttons now are on the right hand side as opposed to some of the older controls where they would be along the bottom as well. So here you can see that I've got my check system button. This is also where you shut down the machine or open a temp file if we have one. That's one of the new features I'll explain in a minute. So if I go to check system, on here it's asking me to select a mode, and this is something you should be very familiar with. You've got your DRO mode, your program mode, your setup mode, run mode, program in and out, and your math helps. Okay, the screen itself over here is the same as everything you're normally used to, and you have your go and stop at the top. You could also have the option of the remote stop go button, which would mean that you could push that button instead of have to use the one on the screen. So some of the things that are different in the DRO mode, you're going to notice that it's pretty much what you're used to. You've got the ability to jog the machine, return it to absolute zero. It still has the teach feature, which allows you to move the machine and record positions and then tell it whether those are milling events or rapid moves for drilling, stuff like that. If I have the electronic hand wheels, then the go-to feature would be highlighted, and the go-to feature is one of those features where I can tell it how far to move before the electronic hand wheel stops. On this particular product, it doesn't have electronic hand wheels, that's why it's grayed out. The tool number, if I'm changing my tools, I would do so through this, and then power feed works exactly the same as what you're used to. So if I select the mode key and go into program, this is where the big changes are going to be. So first of all, depending on how old your control is, if it's one of the controls made in the 90s, then you would only be able to name your program with numbers. But now we have the ability to use numbers and or letters. So if I go to the alpha matrix, I've got a keypad in here where I can select each letter individually and mix that with my numbers in order to name my programs. Truthfully, on a control like this, you'd be better off to use one of the USB ports and plug in a keyboard so that you can just type out the numbers much faster than to use it this way. Once I have it the way I want it, I can just push end, and then you'll notice in here I have a scaling feature. It's assuming what you're doing is 1-to-1, but if there was some reason you needed to add or subtract a shrink factor, you could change that right here. And then the last one is input Z for verify. So since this is a 2-axis control you're looking at, if I say yes to this question, what that's doing is allowing me to put in my Z depths for each operation that I decide to do. It's not going to move because it's 2-axis, but it is going to display how far you should be moving it manually. It also helps when you're using the verification at the end of the programming. Okay, so from there you look at all of that, and then it says what are your options. I can go to the beginning, I can go to the end, I can go to any number in my program if I had one, and then also I can delete events from here. So I'm just going to push go to begin, and here's where some of the stuff is different. Position drills are not really any different than what you're used to. You'll notice in here that a position is just a single hole, and a bolt hole pattern would be however many holes on a given radius, okay? Milling event is still a straight line from point A to point B. Arc is still a curved line from point A to point B. The pockets are a little bit different than what you might be used to, so you still have circle pockets and rectangular pockets, but you also have irregular pockets. So again, depending on how old your control is, you maybe didn't have irregular pocket before, and now you can describe a pocket piece by piece. We also added a face milling event to wipe out the top of the part if needed. If I push return here and I go to profiles, profiles again have circles and rectangles, and also the ability to do irregular profiles. Now, irregular profiles and pockets both add a little bit more power, because in the 2-axis control, if I do an irregular profile, no matter what the shape is, it's going to give me the option of adding a finish cut to clean it up at the end. Okay? Same thing would be true in a pocket. And then if we're in the 3-axis part of the control, it'll also give me the option to give me depth of cut or number of passes to get to the bottom of the piece part. The biggest differences in the KMX control come underneath the subroutines. So it used to be that in subs we just had things like repeat or mirror image or rotation, and sometimes not all three depending on the control. But now you have all three of those, plus you have copy repeats, copy rotations, and copy mirrors, which creates new events that you can edit without changing the original ones that you were copying or repeating. Okay, so that's the biggest difference in here on how the control itself works. Like I said, the keypad is pretty normal. I can still switch from incremental to absolute on the fly anywhere in the control. I can switch from inches to metric and do the same thing, right? And then the restore button is still your clear button when you're trying to clear out. So that should give you an idea on how to get around in the control. The rest of the videos that I'm going to do after this will get more into what it works and how it does everything. So hopefully this will help you out. Okay, so hopefully you can see that the upgrade product, which is also available as a product by its standalone, which means I can get it as a retrofit on an existing machine, or I can upgrade one of my older controls, or I can buy it on a new small DPM2, or on one of our knee mill products, and it comes in both 2 and 3 axis. So hopefully this gives you an idea on how it would work. It is a great product for entry-level machining, and if you have any other questions, as always, reach out to your local TRAK rep or reach out to me here at the home office. I will see you in the next video. As always, remember to keep on tracking.